Alright, I need to go over this. Um, I've had something similar to this happen to me, and I am very disturbed at this video as anybody else. Of course, this is a screenshot. I can't play the video because of stupid copyright things, but, whatever. I usually do this anyways, so it's good to do it this way. But, like I said, something similar has happened to me a few weeks ago, about a month ago. And my son did not get arrested, but he did have a police officer in the room, along with vice principal and a guidance counselor and another special education person, teacher. And I am outraged about stuff like this. Is right. No child should, unless a 6-year-old is stabbing and killing and literally causing murder, death situation, then you could put handcuffs on. But a kid like this getting arrested for kicking, screaming, punching, is not okay. But the cop being in that room should have been enough. And I do agree of a cop showing up, showing his authority, giving a child a little disciplinary pictured face of a cop being in their face. That's right. I do agree with that, but for zip tying a child and arresting her when she's not resisting arrest. Now, if this child went after that cop, clawed, punched, bite, whatever the case may be, then I can see restraint. But this girl, as I can see, this is the first time I watched this video, was calmed down, stopped everything that she was doing, even though she did go off and hit other teachers and whatever that was going on that day. But this is over the top. I guess it's okay to say that's right. This guy got what he deserved. He got fired. That's it. But I do think that he should have just went in there and did his job as showing the badge rather than putting on zip tie cuffs. But my story. Now, I have a child. Hang on a sec. Let me pause real quick. Oh, shit. I have to get something out of my pocket. Okay. Now, I had to take something out of my pocket, which I advise anybody with a child like this, any child that does any kind of hitting, kicking, screaming, fighting in school. And this girl has a sleep disorder, I believe. And my wife read the article and told me about. But if this girl is not properly diagnosed, then of course you're going to have problems with a child. And there are ways around doing what this officer did. In my child, in my situation, I had a psychiatrical evaluation done. I had an IEP put in place last year, but to say so too late. This child is unknown if she has an IEP, is what we call it here in Massachusetts. I don't know what they call it down in Florida, but if she does not have an IEP, the parents need to get on it. They need to find a psychiatrist and get this child some therapy. I recommend it highly. Just a brief on what a parent should do if this child does not have it. If she does, great. But what you need to do also is make sure that you have down every piece of diagnosis in your pocket. I mean, I remember some of them, and this new one that has come up I cannot get for the life of me. That's why I had my son's therapist write it down for me so I can have it. I even brought it to an IEP meeting that I just recently had. But this emergency meeting I had, similar to this, but my son did not get arrested. And they could not arrest him, and they could not even do what they wanted to do in this first meeting, which was an emergency meeting. But I'll tell you something right now. The way this vice principal talked to me, my wife, the way the officer talked to me, my wife, was highly, highly inappropriate. Um, all I can say is I do not hold it against the officer, which, mind you, I do know, due to the fact the guy used to run a business, and out of the same yard of the business he ran, I worked alongside him. I didn't work for him, but I knew him and I worked alongside him. And he did not have two sides of each story. He only had one side, and that's the principal side. Now, in my case, which my son does intend to push kids away from him, does intend to say things, only because of the simple fact, which is in his IEP, that when he gets easily annoyed, he is to be redirected away from other children. All right? That is in his IEP. And what he did, I guess these 2 times, they did not direct him out. They just gave him an IEP last year. This kid has been having issues ever since the day he stepped into preschool, the day he walked into school, period. From preschool all the way up, he only had 1 good year in school because he's with a teacher he highly liked. 1 teacher, 1 year. He did great. Other than that, I had nothing but issues. And for what this vice principal said to me, that I was doing everything wrong. As soon as this vice principal started talking about it's your fault, you're doing it wrong, the tables have now turned. In ways I was in full agreement because my son was in this office for something that happened 2 weeks prior, mind you. And the seriousness of this disturbs me to the core. No, I have my own issues. I don't have a clean record. But I'll tell you something right now. The stuff that I have done, it's called self-defense. That's all I will say. My son, he is in a predicament where he is a little more advanced than the kids in his class. So when they start doing child things around my son, which my son's more independent in ways, not all. He intends to get easily annoyed with, the childish things other kids do. In ways it's not a bad thing. But he, is a little advanced of his age. So, but he is diagnosed with ADHD. A lot of kids are diagnosed with that. He is diagnosed with ODD. And that's oppositional defiant disorder. And this last one is new. And this came up the first time I had a psych evaluation on him. And this was 2 years ago. Because 2 years ago, he had a problem with some child, or a year and a half ago, something like that. Whatever. But immediately I had him evaluated. And this new diagnosis is DMDD, which I think this girl right here might have, or her sleep disorder is kicking in to regulations where she has loss of sleep. But if that is not the case, I guarantee she has one of these disorders, and that is disruptive mood dysregulation disorder. But I wonder why I can't remember this one. So once again, disrupted mood dysregulation disorder. And of course you mix that in with hyperactive, impulsive, which is ADHD, um, you got a chemistry of some bad, stuff that's gonna happen. Now, whether or not these parents have rightfully put this child into care for a psychiatrist and a therapist is to be known, but it is a sad situation. And in my situation, I was getting the full point blame. They were saying my kid was bullying. They were saying my kid, what else did they say? He did all push the student, was pushing students. And the most one of all that disturbs me to the core, like I said, that they said 2 weeks ago from my meeting. And what had brought the meeting up was the day before the meeting, something had happened of a push of a child. But 2 weeks prior, my son threatened to kill somebody. Oh man, I am off the wall. Now, if I was a parent and I got something in there saying, and they said the kid went home and told his parents, this is how it all came about. And they're calling the school, going to tell the school, this kid keeps happening, we're going to bring you to court, or the people to court, the parents to court, that's me. But wait, 2 weeks? If someone called me and my kid come home and said someone threatened to kill him, I'd be all over that school. Who waits 2 weeks to bring a parent in to bring this in? I'm going to have to pause on this. I will be back, but think about that for now. And just like this situation, I think there's a lot to do with improper educational teachers that are running the show lately that need to be removed. But I'm going to give you that to think about until I come back and finish my story. I will be back. So as I was saying, and I paused the video, but knowing that I'd be back, forgot about this. Out doing some stuff today, but once again, back on the subject. And what I left off saying was, got a vice principal telling me, my kid threatened to kill somebody. Yeah, threatened to kill somebody, not kill somebody, but threatened. And when I went to this IEP meeting, and I called also, not only did I call the government of Massachusetts, I called the head of the school board, which is from Medford or Milford, Mass. I think it's Medford, Mass. And I spoke to a guy that said that he would come to a meeting with me to discuss what's going to happen with your child in education. Me, I thought I was getting a number to get the school in trouble. But the guy assured me that he's not that type of person. That's not what he does. And it was like, wow, so what the hell are you really here for? He's not an advocate. He's not this. He's not that. He's just a person to come in, ask what the school's going to do with this child, and pretty much leave. I told him everything that happened, everything that went down, everything that I said. And he said, you sound like you're doing the right thing, and you basically don't need me there. But he said I would like to call there and ask him and, and forth this and that. And I think that's why the meeting went a little more smoother for the IEP meeting. And it was supposed to be about that and this other meeting we had, but the other meeting got swept under the carpet. Now, I told this friggin', before I went into the second meeting, I told the head of the special education of the school my son goes to, how that, how serial killers begin their killing sprees about killing animals. They'd start off by killing animals, and then they watch things, they do things that are the unordinary, and they friggin', they begin, their terrorism. And when I brought forth this to the friggin' thing, and then when I got to the meeting and I said it again, and I told this woman I wanted this principal there too, vice principal. She never showed up. When I went into this meeting, all they would discuss about the IEP, what can we add to it, and that was it. What I had prepared and wanted to say in this meeting to that vice principal, even my wife had her own prepared little speech, didn't even happen. They swept it all under the carpet. And for that woman to come at us like we're at fault, like we're the ones causing the trouble, that we're the ones doing this. My son's been in therapy since the age of 5 or 6. He's now 9. I've done every goddamn proper step there is to bring forth my son's safety to himself and to others. He is out of control. He does have a lot of, in them 3 disorders that I've went over, just told you the names. That third one, defiant, definition, disorder, whatever, is the worst one of all, and I think this little girl has it. And for these cops, it is known, needs to be known, that yeah, if you got a mental patient, mental handicaps, mental whatever, if they're not killing somebody, just flipping out, maybe throw a couple fists to kick. That's right, there should nothing more to be done than just a simple calm down or, restraint, but not zip ties or handcuffs. Yeah, law enforcement needs to be better, properly trained in this, and I'm sure they are getting, it going, but how soon enough is it going to be before it works? And as for vice principals and, psychiatrists throughout the schools, if they have one, or guidance counselor, for them to jump the gun and do what they did here and in my situation, should all lose their jobs. This woman told me she has a kid that's, mentally handicapped and whatever. He's got mental issues, and at 2, 3 in the morning at 23 years old, this woman goes and comforts her little baby, pampers his ass until he calms down and he's losing it. Everybody's diagnosis is different. You cannot use everybody else's diagnosis to one child. And at that, they told me, after saying this, mind you, well, my son's got mental issues. Da, 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 da. You cannot use mental problems in this case right now. So what I had, I couldn't even bring it forth on the table. They didn't even want to look at it. And that's what they did. They overlooked the psychiatrical evaluation. They overlooked the IEP. They were treating my son like a criminal and not a person with mental issues. That's right. I have mental issues. I know I do. I have 3 family members in the past that went through asylums, so I know damn well my kid inherited. And I even tried to bring that up to the school about my son having similarities to my mother, my grandmother, and hell, probably even my Aunt Martha, great Aunt Martha. All 3 submitted into the asylum. But 3 decades my way of a school not doing a proper work on mental health issues. 3 decades. My 19-year-old son, my 3rd oldest, and now my youngest, 9. I try to call the governor to see what I can do to make a change, to have something done. Now I got to go to the Superior Court, or I have to go to the bigger board and see what could be done. Because you know what? I see too much money going into methadone clinics and people getting free drugs than trying to get these mental health issues dealt with at the schools, and it makes me goddamn sick. I've had enough. Like I said before, my son in the 5th grade got passed to the 6th grade. No, it was 4th grade, sorry. 4th grade to the 5th grade, 3 Fs. 3 Fs. No, it was the fifth grade. God damn it, sorry. Fifth to sixth, because I had him in a Fitchburg school. Now he's in Leominster. And I mean, due to we're homeless, we could have kept him in Fitchburg. We're considered homeless, but ain't working out. And they said in this school at the fifth grade, it was fifth grade, sorry, that, well, we'll help him next year. It's like, how the hell you pass a kid with 3 Fs and help him next year? Well, you ain't even helping him last year. 3 decades. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done in Florida. Something needs to be done up here north and any other goddamn state struggling with mental health issues. And I could see this girl has some. And when she got into the room with the cop, or the cop got into the room with her, you could see she changed, is right. Because she knew she did wrong. But she also, the mental health part screwed her up from making the right decisions. And you know what? I'm sick of it. This shouldn't have never happened. Zip ties shouldn't have never happened. An officer coming in, putting a little force and badge to that kid, that should have happened. But the zip tie, arrest, take her out, yeah, that, too much extreme. I believe kids that are 11, 12, 13 years old, though, I think they should spend some time in a little prison cell. Just to sit there, to respect time and to respect freedom. 2 words. Time and freedom. Of what you will lose if you keep that up. But young kids like this, all you have to do is send an officer in there and just give her the old look in the eye. And that's it. Zip ties was a bad idea. But for all you struggling parents out there, I feel you. I see this. I know how it is. I went through my own dilemma. And man, I am not too happy. And I don't think I'll see this again. And mind you, it's my son's last year at this school. Oh, man. And I didn't get to speak my piece too well. Because when I did start it just, they were done. Everybody was done. They didn't want to hear it. But when I set up the second meeting, I was all prepared to say, hey. No show. They all had, and that's another thing we said. Well, I'm sure my son, my wife said, and even I said it. I'm sure you don't, every kid in here has problems and issues that you gotta, nope, there's nothing else like that around here what your son's doing. Oh, really? And when you know, as they said that, a phone rings with 2 of the guidance counselor and the vice principal. We're having a trouble with a kid. We have a little, emergency. But you just said that you didn't have that type of stuff here. But you're running out of this office for an emergency of a child. A lot of crooked stuff that goes into the educational system. And there's a lot of crooked stuff that is just too much drugs being out there and too much stuff of not hiring the right teacher. So all the money goes to the wrong things, the drugs and hiring the wrong type of people. You gotta get people more educated in there to know what they're doing. In this case here, no. My case, no. 2 different states, similarities, and man, a big headache and a lot of sorrow and fucking stress to be put forth on little kids like this. Everybody has a temper tantrum, and if we didn't take away spanking our childs in the past, not brutally beat them, give them a spanking now and then, this would have never happened. Stuff like this wouldn't happen. Nope. There's either 2 things wrong with this parent. They taught their daughter the wrong way, or they're so scared of like DCF or child services out there to get on them because they did a little spanking. There's 2 things, and that's it. And You can't discipline your kid as much like you could back in the day. I learned a lot from a good ass whooping. That's it. I won't do that again. These days, no. Kids are spoiled. Kids get away with stuff. And stuff like this, yeah. It just turns the wrong out the wrong way. You gotta get more mean and a little up the raised voice than using zip ties and bringing a kid to a fucking police station or a squad car or whatever. You know, war of words can be used more than just war of arresting. Insane, though. Unless that kid murdered someone or stabbed someone or beat someone a bat, there shouldn't have been no zip tie handcuffs. Either or. But that's my thoughts and theories on this. To the family, I give you my full condolence. Hopefully this family is, legit. If not, hey, you put together something, a monster that you can't deal with. But I'm for sure these people are just really distraught on what to do and don't know where to go and turn. And if it is that, I recommend get your kid a therapist, a psychiatrist, and get that IEP rolling, as I call it in my state. I don't know what it is down there in Florida, but you need some support of that sort. Till that next video, be safe, take care, people. And if you got out of control kids, it's good to get something to back you up, like a psychiatrist and therapist, even if you don't want to. Sometimes it's a good thing. It's been for me. Out.